After Lastras, the two of them were decisive at the top of the Apricot climb. They went away, but Vorganov and Kieselovsky get back on. Tabore decides to do a little bit of cyclocross, and there's still riders just waiting here. It's a very difficult situation. This is all experience. Whoops. Well done, Tabore. Jesus Fernandez was trying to respond to the line of the rider in front. Can't really blame him for that. It's all about experience here now, Sean, isn't it? Because a lot of these guys, if you were a young rider in this sort of group, you might panic. You might try chasing everything down, but you can't chase everything down. You've got to pick the right people to chase.
Yes, you have to make a calculation, because if you start jumping after and chasing everybody, then you will pay. If it comes together and stays together to the finish, well, you'll not have nothing left for the sprint. So you have to make a calculation. But sometimes, the stronger riders, they attack a lot, and somebody just sits on, and then there's a moment of just looking at each other, and somebody attacks from behind that has been struggling and rides on, and nobody wants to take up the chase and goes on to win. So it's not always the most experiences that works out in these breaks. Sometimes it's just a little bit of luck.
Well, we thought that perhaps Vincenzo Nibali was going to put Alberto Contador under pressure on that descent. It hasn't happened, Sean. They just haven't done it, and it's all status quo back at the front of the peloton. Meanwhile, up here in the break, of course, it's all action, but back there, all pretty much the same.
Yes, surprising they did not really push it on, because we did get a good footage of our breakaway, and you could see there was a lot of technical sections on the end of the descent, the bottom slope, and there was an opportunity there to do something, and it looked like they were going to do it, but nothing at all. Didn't really just ride on the descent in any way.
We saw shots of Dario Cataldo. These four riders seem to have got a little gap over the rest of the breakaway men. Alisi jettisons a bidon, doesn't need that anymore. Ahead of him is Jan Bekkelens and Pablo Lastras, and at the front Giovanni Visconti over the river. Now that's a decent gap with 2.6 kilometers to go. The rest of them will have to work pretty hard to get back onto that, and I think they'll be looking at Svitsov to do it. Lastras pulls over. These four have still got to work together if they possibly can. Danger man for me here. Well, Visconti's very aggressive. I quite fancy the look of Diego Alisi here.
No.
Nope, go ahead.
Bekkelens. Guarantee.
There you go. Here's from the man who knows. However, they do say you are half Belgian and half Irish. So
I would go for the Belgium out of the riders out in front. I'd be supporting the Belgians more. Bekkelens last year, he was very unlucky not to get a stage victory. He was up there and really panicked in the end of one of the stages and crashed just a kilometre or two from the finish. It will be interesting to see here. They have to keep on riding 1.9 kilometres. Their advantage they have there, was only maybe 15 seconds. So if they start to play around, we could see him swallowed up, because there is some riders back there still, I think, could close down this gap. And Svitsov, he's a real powerful rider. If he gets an advantage at all and can sneak away, he could be coming across. But they're keeping it moving up front, certainly.
Pablo Lastras has struck for home with 1.5 kilometers to go. Visconti gets onto his wheel. Diego Alisi following the wheel of his fellow countryman. Jan Bekkelens is closed up now, and it'll ease off for Lastras, who will take up the charge next. Nobody wants to at the moment. They're all looking at each other. This is what happens. It'll play cat and mouse now, and will the rest of the escape group get up to them? Alisi wants to roll it on, didn't want to go too far though. We're going to come up to the Flamme Rouge very shortly. The kite marking 1 kilometre for the end of today's stage. Alisi followed by Visconti, then Bekkelens, then Pablo Lastras. Lastras just laying off a little bit here at the back. He looks over his shoulder. They have to be careful that the other riders don't come up on them quickly. At the moment it's okay, but they're going to come charging around the corner if they're not careful. There they are. Under the kilometre to go banner, they've already gone 900 metres, and the charge is on from behind. Alisi leads them out with Visconti trying to get across to the wheel. Ulisi's going to have to get his head down and go. No, he says, this is not for me, this one. We'll wait, we'll see what happens. Somebody else take it up. He's not happy with taking out the charge at 500, well, it's 750 metres to go. Now gets to the back. Bakelans is the man at the front. Bakelans, Visconti. Then Lastras. Looking over the shoulder is Ulisi. They're trying to calculate. Have they got enough? Have they got enough of a gap? It looks like it at the moment. But they're slowing. Nobody wants to take it up. Behind, it's Konstantin Svitsov, as we said, who's going to try and drive them home to get it. At the moment, Bakelans is not in the best position for this one. He's in a pretty big gear. And Visconti on the right-hand side, Ulisi on the left, and Lastras goes with Ulisi. Visconti goes around, Bakelans on the right-hand side. They strike for home now, there's no way back at this point. Diego Ulisi, and Visconti just a little bit checked. He's still, no, none of that. Visconti is absolutely furious, pushes Ulisi, stops the sprint, basically. Oh, what a scrappy finish. And I'm afraid the commissaires will be looking at that one. And the reason being, I don't think Visconti was particularly squeezed. Sure, well, in my opinion, I don't think he was particularly squeezed. He had to check his tempo for sure, but he gave Ulisi a whacking great big push.
Yes, he pushed Ulisi out, and I think there will be a commissar looking at that. I don't think there was any great movement from Ulisi. He just took up the sprint, maybe moved fractionally, but nothing majorly, and I don't think that it was just that Visconti was in a position where he got boxed in, and that's something in sprinting we've seen often, and just the positioning of Visconti. Unfortunately, he couldn't get a clear run, and he would have been able to come over him because we could see him there, but when you get boxed in a situation like that, it does get frustrating, and I think he was really he didn't know what to do really, Visconti, and just when you start pushing riders, they're going to be disqualified, I think, pretty quickly.
Got head on the block time, Sean.
Potrebbe scattare una squalifica per te, Visconti. Era di Visconti la mano.
Appunto, io ero davanti, lo sto facendo.
Will it be a disqualifying for you and Visconti? No, I was in front doing my own sprint, he says. I agree. Head on the block then, Sean, what do you reckon? If you were a commissar looking at that now, from that initial shot, we haven't seen the overhead shot, so you can't make a full decision, but on the first gut reaction, what do you say?
Well, I think the first thing is who actually got the sprint. It looked like that Visconti maybe went over the line fractionally ahead, but I think he will have a problem holding that place if he did finish in the first position, because Ulisi, I think, he was making a pretty fair and correct sprint.
Gastar and Losada coming home to finish. 2 minutes and 10 down. Well, we really need to see the overhead shot and the replay straight away, but my gut feeling would be Visconti in the wrong, I'm afraid. Okay, so he's a bit boxed in. It's the way sprinting works. Not particularly pressured or squeezed. Gave him a little nudge, first of all, Sean, and just to say I'm behind you, or not even to say I'm behind you, just gave him a little push. He was clearly rattled by it, and then gave him a whacking great big shove.
Yes, well, he wasn't moving off. He was still, keeping his line, and that's what a rider does. He doesn't allow you to come through easily, and Visconti really pushed him off, and it will be interesting to see what the results will be, but I feel for Visconti not looking good.
Oh, we're desperate to see the overhead, but I should imagine those shots are being used already by the commissaires. Always is Giovanni. I was coming twice the speed of him, he says. If I didn't take my arm off the bars, and I wouldn't have managed to get to the finish. He's a young rider. He's terribly bad behaviour all day long. I'm happy to beat him. I'm sorry, but those things shouldn't happen on the Giro Stage. Only in Italy. Here we are, look very closely. No, at least he's not moving. No. Sorry, I'm going to stick my neck out and say, Visconti, you're wrong, I'm afraid. And the right reporter there.
C'est que le champion d'Italie est déclassé à la 3e place, donc c'est le coureur de chez Lampré qui est déclaré vainqueur du sprint, puisque
Ulissi is the winner. Visconti, third position. That is the UCI's official decision. Visconti relegated to third. Ulissi the winner of the sprint. Lastras gets second. Fair decision?
Yes, I think Ulissi was pretty fair on that sprint. Nothing majorly incorrect, and deserves his stage victory.